Have you ever gone for a nice walk in the woods? My mom is really insistent that my brother and I get out into nature. She wants us to be active and appreciate nature and the world around us. She likes to encourage us to get out of the house frequently, especially over the summer when we're out of school. So, last summer, the summer of 2016, my mom took my brother Theo and I on a 5-day long trip to Michigan to go on hikes and explore forests and visit the beach. We took 2 of the days for driving to Michigan and back to Minnesota, and the 3 days in between, we'd go on hikes. On the 3rd day of our 5-day trip, we decided to go on a bit of a tougher hike than the day before. The day before, we went on a nice light hike. The trail we went on was man-made with beautiful views. So this time we wanted to do a bit of off-roading, but not too much. The day was pretty humid and fairly hot, so we got on our shorts and our tank tops and we loaded on the sunscreen and bug spray. We stopped at the store before we went to the trail. We bought snacks and water bottles. We found some very interesting water bottles made by Gatorade. It said it had electrolytes, which my mom said was good for your body. So we bought those. That was our first mistake of the day. That had to be the nastiest water I have ever tasted in my whole entire life. It tasted like moldy cardboard boxes. Ugh. We were finally ready for our hike. The trails were sort of muddy. It had rained the night before. There were 2 trails we could go on, both roughly the same distance, 1.7 miles. One of the trails we looked at was muddy and dark. We explored it a little, and Theo and my mom seemed pretty excited about it because it went into the forest more, but it just seemed a little too off trail for me at the time. So we decided to go on the other route. This was our second mistake. The first half of the hike was almost entirely an uphill drive. We trudged up for so long, but the scenery was beautiful, so it seemed all right. Eventually, there was a break in the trees to the side of us, and I noticed that it would be a very long fall down. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of heights, but there's just something about having a steep fall on a not so well-defined trail that freaks me out. It didn't really help when my mom told me that the trees would break my fall. So I ended up being flanked on either end. Mom in front, brother in back. After about 2 hours of this semi-dangerous trek, we got to the top of this now evident mountain. There was a small bench and a gorgeous view. At this point, sitting at the top of a mountain, looking down on forests and rivers, and drenched in sweat, I felt very connected to nature. It felt like we were alone with only the trees and the forest creatures. I decided to take off my shirt. It seemed like the right thing to do. I was becoming a true mountain man. And I have proof. As we were about to get going again, a chipmunk came at least a foot away from us. If I reached down, I could have probably touched it. My mom said the hikers probably fed it a lot, so it wasn't afraid. Now, the way down was a far worse journey than expected. At first, it seemed like everything would be okay. But at first, the hike was on a steady decline. The sun was out and we were on the edge of the forest. But as we traveled further and further down the path, we went deeper and deeper into the forest, and the trail got steeper and steeper. Then we came upon the steepest drop of all. There was the biggest dip in the trail that I had ever seen. The rain had washed off roots of a big tree nearby. We had to climb down backwards using rocks and roots. Theo did it with ease, but he's tall. I am not tall. It was not easy. But I was so sick of the woods that I climbed down anyway. We went through a grassy forest area, and it felt like a million mosquitoes were biting me. Swarms of gnats kept flying into my head, and I was going crazy. The combination of sweat and bugs and grass made it feel like tons of bugs were crawling all over me. I was tired and shirtless. Once we got past that, the rest of the trail was like nothing. At that point, I just really wanted to be home. And 4 hours later, we could start to see the beginning of the trail, and we heard voices. I swear I wanted to run to them. But I think seeing a sweaty, half-naked child running out of the forest might have been a little bit terrifying. Then we finally saw it. The parking lot. I never in my life thought I would be that happy to see a parking lot. The hike was unexpected, to say the least. Living in Minnesota, we do have quite a bit of access to nature. But most of the time, the trails are paved and the hills are small. So as a city kid, I didn't have any experience with hills like that. It was a difficult climb, but I would definitely say it was worth it. If I was asked to do it again, I wouldn't hesitate to say yes. I feel much more connected with nature from this experience. Sweating out there was not that fun, but I'll never forget it. And I will always remember how beautiful and calm the forest was. According to a nationwide poll by the Nature Conservancy, only 10% of kids say they spend time outside every day. That doesn't seem like a lot. I think with the growth of the internet, kids don't spend as much time outside, and as a result, don't get to take in the beauty of nature. We should all take some time to get outside and appreciate the trees and plants and animals around us.